Welcome to my channel. Try to hear the latest story.
The candlelight flickered across the long wooden table at the rooftop restaurant, casting warm shadows on everyone's faces as the clinking of glasses filled the air. It was my girlfriend Sophia's closest friend Elena's 32nd birthday celebration, and the view of the city skyline from up here was stunning, twinkling lights stretching out for miles under a clear summer night. I'd been with Sophia for just over 11 months now, and while her world of art galleries, cocktail bars, and weekend yoga retreats wasn't exactly mine, I'd grown to enjoy parts of it because of her. I'm 36, a mechanic who owns a small auto repair shop on the edge of town. Steady work, decent money, my own place with a garage out back, and a classic pickup I've restored myself. Nothing extravagant, but it suits me fine. Sophia, 31, is a graphic designer for a big marketing firm in the city. Creative, always dressed in flowing outfits with statement jewelry, surrounded by friends who talk about design trends and international travel. They were always courteous when I joined them, asking about my shop or the cars I worked on, but I could sense the subtle distance, like I was the outlier in their polished circle. Elena had insisted I come tonight, saying it wouldn't be the same without me, which felt genuine at the time. Now, looking back, maybe it was part of the setup. We'd arrived around 8 p.m., the group of about 10 people already seated at a reserved table with white linens and an elaborate charcuterie spread. I had on my best button-down shirt tucked into dark jeans, boots polished for the occasion. Everyone else was in linen dresses, tailored shirts, or sleek jumpsuits, the kind of effortless elegance that comes from city salaries. Conversation flowed easily at first. Work projects, upcoming vacations, funny stories from a recent group trip to Mexico. Sophia sat next to me, her hand occasionally brushing mine under the table, including me when topics turned my way. I shared a bit about a tricky engine rebuild I just finished on a vintage Mustang, and a few nodded politely, though their eyes glazed over quickly. Dessert came. Some intricate chocolate torte with gold leaf, and that's when Elena stood up, tapping her fork against her Prosecco glass for attention. "Thank you all for coming tonight," she began, her voice carrying that confident tone she always had. "This year has been incredible: new clients, amazing travels, and the best friends anyone could ask for." Smiles all around, glasses raised slightly. She turned toward Sophia, a mischievous glint in her eye. "And Sophia, you've been such an inspiration this year, especially in the relationship department." Sophia tilted her head, smiling curiously. "What do you mean?" Elena laughed lightly, glancing around the table for reactions. "I mean, your whole adventure with branching out, trying something completely outside your usual scene. It's been eye-opening to watch." The table quieted a bit, forks pausing mid-air. My fork hovered over my plate as a knot formed in my gut, but I kept my face steady. "Dating someone from such a different walk of life," Elena continued, gesturing vaguely in my direction without looking right at me. "No shared interests in the arts or culture, different education paths, that whole mechanic versus designer contrast. This really clarified things, hasn't it? Shown exactly what doesn't align long-term." A couple of people shifted uncomfortably. One guy, Marcus, chuckled awkwardly. Another friend, Julia, added softly, "It's brave to explore that, though." Elena nodded enthusiastically. "Exactly. Now you know precisely what you do want. Someone who fits seamlessly into your world. It's like a masterclass in self-awareness." The words hung there, the group divided between stunned silence and subtle agreements. Sophia's cheeks flushed deep red, her mouth opening slightly but no words coming out. She stared at her plate, fingers tightening around her glass. No one looked directly at me, but the implication was crystal clear. I'd been the test case, the detour from her norm, discussed openly like a case study. I set my fork down quietly, reached for my wallet, and pulled out enough cash to cover my share of the meal plus a generous tip. probably $80 for the steak and drinks. Placed it neatly beside my plate. This should handle my part, I said calmly, pushing my chair back and standing. Happy birthday, Elena. Thanks for the insight. I didn't raise my voice or linger, just nodded politely to the table and walked away, down the stairs, past the hostess stand, and out into the cool night air. My pickup was parked a block away. I got in, started the engine, and drove home without rushing. The city lights blurred a little as the reality sank in. 11 months of building something I thought was solid, only to realize I'd been viewed as an exploratory phase. My phone buzzed almost immediately. Sophia calling. I let it ring out. Then a text. Alex, please don't go like that. Elena didn't mean it that way. Another call. I declined and kept driving. By the time I pulled into my driveway, the messages were piling up. She was just tipsy and projecting her own breakup drama. Everyone agrees it was awful. Please pick up. We can talk this through. I ignored them all. Went inside, poured a glass of whiskey, and sat on the back porch staring at the garage lights. All those small moments I dismissed came flooding back. The time at an art opening when one of her friends asked if I'd ever considered elevating my career beyond fixing cars. The group chat jokes about me being the rugged contrast to their aesthetic. Sophia gently suggesting I try some modern art books to broaden horizons. I'd laughed them off, thinking it was just different worlds colliding harmlessly. Around midnight, I heard tires on gravel. Looked out the window. Sophia's sleek hybrid parked out front. She knocked softly at first, then more insistently. Alex, I know you're home. Please, just open the door. I stayed silent, lights off in the living room. She waited on the porch for 20 minutes, then sat in her car another half hour before finally leaving. Next morning, a bouquet of lilies appeared on my doorstep with a card. I'm so sorry. What we have is real. Don't let one stupid comment ruin it. I dropped them straight into the trash bin. 2 days later, things escalated. I was under a lifted SUV at the shop, diagnosing a transmission issue, when my lead tech, Carlos, poked his head in. Boss, there's a lady out front asking for you. Says it's personal. Wiping grease off my hands, I stepped out to see Sophia standing by the open bay door in her work attire, looking composed but anxious. You shouldn't come here, I said, keeping my voice low so the guys wouldn't overhear too much. Just 5 minutes, Alex. Please. She clasped her hands together. Elena crossed a line, and I've already told her she's out of line completely. When did you tell her that? Because at the table, you said nothing. I froze. I couldn't process it fast enough. She blindsided everyone. Blindsided you with something you'd apparently discussed before. The words came out even, no yelling. A couple customers glanced over curiously. That's not true. Alex, you know I adore you. I know how your circle sees me. And I know silence when something hurtful is said about me means agreement. She glanced around, noticing the subtle attention from my team. Please, let's meet tonight. Dinner, coffee, anything. I don't want to lose this. There's nothing left to lose. I turned and walked back into the shop. She lingered for a bit before driving off. That evening brought a new tactic. My phone rang with an unknown number. Turned out to be Sophia's brother, Derek, whom I'd met at a few family barbecues. He was always straightforward. Alex, man, Sophia filled me in on the birthday mess. That was messed up what her friend said. Appreciate you saying that. She's devastated. Hasn't stopped talking about how much she screwed up by not speaking up. I'm sorry she's upset, but this isn't fixable with apologies now. Look, I get it, but my sister really cares. She's not the type to play games. Her friend described our relationship as an adventure in branching out to figure out what doesn't fit. And she sat there. Long pause on his end. You think she sees you that way? I think her silence confirmed it. Different worlds are fine if both people bridge them equally. This felt one-sided. He tried a few more angles, but I held firm. Ended the call politely. The next afternoon, my phone lit up again, this time my sister Lisa. Alex, what the hell is going on? Your girlfriend just called me crying. Ex-girlfriend. She said you two had a big misunderstanding and asked if I'd talk sense into you. Said she found my number through your shop's website contact form or something. That's persistent. I told her family stays out of this stuff, but she sounded desperate. What happened? I gave her the rundown. The speech, the lack of defense, the pattern of subtle digs I'd ignored. Wait, her friend basically called you a trial run in front of everyone. Pretty much. And she didn't shut it down? Nope. Then good riddance. You deserve someone who brags about you, not someone embarrassed when their friends point out differences. We talked a while longer. Her support helped solidify things. Later that day, a text from Sophia's phone. This is Elena. I borrowed it because I know you'd block mine. I owe you the biggest apology. I almost ignored it, but curiosity won. What she said was unforgivable. I was drinking and dealing with my own recent split. Projecting hard. Doesn't excuse it. No, it doesn't. I've spoken to Sophia. She's heartbroken. She talks about you all the time, how grounded you make her feel. Then why the speech? I twisted something she'd mentioned once in passing about navigating different backgrounds. It wasn't how she truly saw things. So she'd used those words before. Not exactly like that. Look, we're a pretentious bunch sometimes, used to our bubble. But Sophia stepped outside it because she wanted you, not as an experiment. The conversation dragged on. She admitted to snobbery in their group, but insisted Sophia's feelings were real. It planted a tiny seed of doubt. Maybe I'd overreacted. Maybe one drunk rant didn't define everything. A week passed with no contact from me. I threw myself into work. Long days restoring a '67 Camaro for a client. Evenings tinkering in my own garage. Memories kept surfacing, though. Like 3 weeks ago when Sophia suggested a weekend at an exclusive coastal art retreat. When I mentioned the cost, she offered to cover most of it, saying casually, I know the shop has variable income. I'd taken it as thoughtful. Now it felt like accommodation for my level. Or at her firm's holiday party last month, when a colleague joked about designers dating real-world guys for inspiration. She laughed it off nervously, steering conversation away instead of correcting him. 2 months back, she'd forwarded me listings for vocational management courses, saying gently, if you ever wanted to grow the business bigger, these could help. I'd said I was content running things hands-on. She'd nodded but looked disappointed. Patterns I'd excused as caring now looked like quiet reshaping. Finally, I decided clarity was needed. Called her from the shop during a slow afternoon. Alex, her voice cracked with hope. Thank you for calling. Sophia, I've thought it through. We're finished. No. Please hear me out. I am. You say you care. But when it mattered most, you stayed quiet while I was reduced to a lesson in incompatibility. I was stunned. I should have jumped in immediately. I've regretted it every second. Regret now doesn't erase the moment. And it doesn't erase the buildup. I'll cut ties with anyone who disrespects you. Elena's already on thin ice. It's not just her. It's the hesitation I saw in you too. She pleaded for another chance. Dinner, therapy, even meeting her parents sooner than planned. I stayed firm. That evening she appeared at my door, eyes puffy, holding a small sketchbook. I made this for you. Designs inspired by your shop. The cars you love. I took it but didn't open it. Sophia, one honest question. Anything. Before Elena's speech. Did you ever view dating me as stepping outside your comfort zone in a way that implied I was less aligned with your usual standards? She hesitated, eyes dropping. Early on, I wondered if our differences would work long-term. The lifestyles, interests. So yes. But that changed. I fell for who you are. Yet the wondering was there. You saw the gap and hoped it'd close. It's not like that. It is. You needed confirmation of what fit your world perfectly. I was the contrast that highlighted it. She reached for my hand. I stepped back. Find someone who never has to wonder. Someone who fits from the start without needing proof. I closed the door gently. No more visits, no more messages. Peace settled in. A few days later, grabbing beers with my buddy Ryan, who runs a welding business nearby, I recounted everything. Brother, I hate to say it, but those signs were screaming. She always acted like she was bringing you into her gallery, not meeting you in the middle. You saw it too. Whole crew did. Nice girl, but that superior vibe was there. Like dating you was her authentic experience phase. Hearing it confirmed freed something. I'm good now. Shop's busy, friends are solid, life's uncomplicated again. Walking away quietly, covering my tab, refusing the pleas. That was all the closure needed. Elena's outburst ripped off the band-aid, revealing the truth underneath. Sophia learned what she truly wanted. And I learned I won't settle for being anyone's temporary detour. Next time, it'll be with someone who sees being with me as the perfect fit. No contrasts required.